Hello and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I have a tiny cat.
Yes, you do. And today, we're actually going to be reviewing a game.
Are we?
Which is crazy. Yeah.
I don't think we do that anymore.
I didn't think so either, but apparently we're getting back to it. The crazy part is, how many episodes ago was it that we actually reviewed a game? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've had 5 episodes since our last game review. So
we're doing great.
Yeah.
We had some very sleepy Thursdays, though. We switched off on who was more tired on Thursdays. I had a few rough ones in a row, and so did you. Actually, I think one of the days that you were like, "Hey, I'm exhausted," I was like, "Oh, thank fucking God," because there's no way I would be able to sit down. So, yeah. I think one of the other ones, oh shit, I don't know when this was a thing. One of the other ones was like the exact opposite, where I was like, I'm ready to go, but then you were like, hey, I'm not feeling great. And I was like, fuck yes, I'm so glad that you just said that, because I do not feel like doing this right now. Hey, I mean, it happens. Life gets in the way, Yeah,
stuff comes up, shit happens. But we're back, and not only that, our plan is to do another episode tomorrow. But today
we're trying to make it up to y'all.
Well, yeah, sure. We do this for you guys. Today, we're going to be looking at 3 Die 6. This is an interesting game from... So, it's interesting because it's deeply Dapper games, but also Tabletops and Tentacles. But it is Kristopher McClanahan. Yeah. This is fun. What I have here is I don't know, it's a special edition one or whatever. I'll have to look up exactly what that is. But we also have this we might take a peek at a little bit too. Which is The World of Shimmer, which is a world that's in 3 Die 6. But this is for those that know what the turtle means, this is a Troika version of the Shimmer. And just keep going with that. I also have this from the Shimmer. This is the Egg Hunt and the Lost City. These are solo adventures that we'll get into. Delve Your Own Dungeon books. So 3 Die 6. So this, I don't know if it was originally put out on Kickstarter, but it did have a Kickstarter. I'm not sure exactly when it funded. I know the last update is in September. There's 33 updates. Let's see when this actually funded. We'll just scroll all the way down. I did not back it from there. I got my editions from good old Drive-Through RPG. This was funded February 24th, 2021. And it was funded for $15,858 on a $560 goal with 589 backers. Damn.
Wow.
But if you Google, and then the Troika Shimmer version came out. It looks like not too long after that. It's a third-party supplement that also backed for about $3,000 on only $122. Man, make your pledges a little bit more expensive. I went to I just Googled 3 Die 6 Kickstarter, and it said that there's like another edition coming, and I had already followed the page. I guess I knew that at some point. 3 Die 6 Kickstarter. Let's see what it says here. Yes, second edition and Shimmer guidebook. I already have it saved. The Creepy Crawler role-playing game returns for a new expanded edition and guide to the world of Shimmer. We'll see when and if that's coming out. I'm excited for that. I didn't know. Cool. Yeah, I'm stoked. Maybe they'll fix some of the things that we're going to talk about in today's episode.
Maybe.
But we'll see. Yeah, so 3 Die 6. What else is going on right now that we can talk about particularly? Oh, a couple of Kickstarters going on right now. Today is, I think, the last day for the Cairn 2E Kickstarter. So if you're watching and you haven't backed it, go fucking back it. But if you're listening to us, you probably did.
If you were listening to our show, there's no way you didn't back Cairn 2E, you know?
Yeah. I mean...
The 5 people who are listening.
Yeah, right. Also, though, the Black Rainbow Society from Gabriel Quiroga, which is a new book for Hell Knight, which was one of our highest rated RPGs of last year, is out. It's a very long campaign. Gabriel likes to do long campaigns. It's like 40 days or something like that. But it's already funded. I think when I looked at it, it was pretty early. It was like a $3,000 goal and it was already at like $6,000. So it looks great. We love Gabriel Quiroga. We love Hell Knight. It was great. It's great. All their Neurocity, Warpland, Hell Knight, all the stuff from Worlds of Quiroga are really fantastic. There's some other stuff that should be dropped from them soon that I've got to look at a little bit. That's also really cool. So,
yeah, that project's currently at almost 10 grand with a goal of $3,000, and it has 37 days to go. So
yeah, it already funded. It dropped yesterday. But what we're going to be doing starting next week for 3 weeks is we are going to be doing giveaways. Gabriel was nice enough to send us one of each of everything that they've done in hardback, Neurocity, Warpland, and Hell Knight. And we are going to be giving those away to listeners. I think we'll probably do it on Twitter and allow people to like the post for like a week, and then just pick a winner on the show on Thursdays. And we'll do that for 3 weeks. I think that's probably the best thing to do. So if you're listening to us, definitely check that, or stay tuned, watch our Twitter, and get one of those giveaways. I'll have to talk to Hunter about international shipping versus domestic, but I think those are the things that are kind of out and about right now, that we're talking about, that we're looking at. There's other stuff coming up soon, and other Kickstarters that are going to be dropping that we'll talk about, but that's kind of where we're at. Oh, I also no, I moved it to the other room, so I won't do that. But that's kind of our intro. I don't think we have really anything else going on right now. Do you want to just review a fucking game?
I guess we should, as a game review channel, I guess we should occasionally review some games.
Just every now and then, we should do that. So why don't we hop in?
A bit more APs though. That's been fun. So
yeah, the side quests and the plays have been really, really fun. I'm glad we got to do both versions of Trophy. Still prefer Dark. But I think we should, so check those out. Side Quest 7 and 8, or Trophy Dark and Trophy Gold. Both adventures written by Michael Van Vliet. Both are super, super fun. Definitely check those out, as well as Tacticians of from the wonderful Meat Castle, Christian Sorrell. Always good to check that out. Also, check out Ungods or at HoloPress. Great new adventure drop with some art from the one and only Johan Noor in there. So definitely want to check that out. I definitely instantaneously bought that, as well as the new versions of Vermis 1 and 2 in hardback. So definitely go check that out over at HoloPress. HoloPress has been doing some really interesting stuff lately. I wish they would put shit out in PDF so we could review it on stream.
No, never.
Mano Sinestro looks dope
another
as fuck.
Camera, and I'll make another camera feed, and it just be like down on my
I have one.
neck.
I could. I absolutely. I even have an arm that I could do that with. I don't fucking want to. I want to get a PDF. HoloPress. I want to review your game. I have it literally sitting right there. It's dope. I really love it. Send me a PDF. But yeah, check that out. So let's hop into a review of the game. Johan, tell them to send me a PDF. Game read-through. Boom, 3-6, a dungeon creepy crawler RPG. First and foremost, I do want to say this is the deluxe edition, and Chris McClanahan, who is who put out this game, is the game designer, writer, artist, and does the layout and cartography for it. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much the entire fucking book. And I will say, I love the art. I love the color palette. Yeah. Probably my favorite thing in the entire book.
I would say I also agree that it's the strongest part of this book is like how good the art looks. Yeah, the color palette for it, the purples and like the light blues. I'm like, oh, this is great.
The vapor wavy kind of color, like if you see my entire like setup, it's all literally like pinks, purples, and blues. Like it's cyans, magentas, But for those that can't see, again, this is the deluxe edition cover. I think the regular version is a little bit different, but the deluxe one is the one that I have. It's a very almost naked cover. So like even on the front of the PDF in the bottom where it says Core Deluxe Book, that's not on the regular book, which is really beautiful. The 3-6 is just in the top corner. So it's really gorgeous.
I love a totally naked cover. Like if you put everything on the first page of the book, great. I want a big art piece, you know?
Well, you know what I really love? I think my favorite of all the books is Knock. How Knock does like a dust sleeve, jacket. A dust jacket. Yeah. But it's like a naked dust jacket with like the same cover, but like normal with like the writing and stuff on the inside of it. But then the inside of the dust jacket is also more cool ttrpg stuff. And all Bruno Prosecco's fucking art, which is absolutely stunning. Yeah.
And then,
great. It's great.
I love it.
That's such a wonderful way to do it. But yeah, the cover is great. It's really vibey, really interesting. Yeah. Lots of purples, blues, and pinks. Like we said, you're in a dungeonous like cavern area with these blue bug creatures riding a giant spider, fighting other blue bug creators, and a winged one.
A wasp midair.
Oh yeah, you know? And the wasp is like holding them in the air, and then it's dope. The art all the way through this really fit, and it all has this like beautiful halftone over everything, which is just gorgeous. Cover sick, art sick, all the way through. We'll just say that over and over again. I do like that the pages in it have kind of like a page background. It's not stark white, but it's also not fucking parchment like bad bad D&D third party parchment. It's just like a texture to a paper, which is nice. It's really subtle on the eyes, which is nice.
Another look at those is I was looking at D&D 3.5 last week just because I was flipping through it. I was like, oh yeah, I used to love 3.5, and it very much is of that like, oh, it's brown because it's parchment. I'm like, this is unreadable garbage.
Yeah. I was saying I took notes in an A5, so I wanted to cycle through those real quick before we get into it. I have underlined page numbers, so once we hit the 30s, remind me to take a peek. Great logos in here that are color appropriate without backgrounds, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
For Deeply Dapper and Tabletop and Tentacles. And then dedication page, dedication and the credits page. 3-6 dedicated to their mom, and a bunch of other people, etc., etc. Playtesters, including Ellen Barr and whatnot, and etc., etc. I do like that there's links that are actually links in here, which is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, like this. Yeah, these actually click out to places, which is nice. And it says 2021. And I love when they have the typefaces listed, which is also really nice. Crimson is such a good typeface. Anyway, contents page. Love this. It's nice. It's 2-column. It's everything I need in one page. Everything is hyperlinked. It's really fantastic. So we have hyperlinks here, and we also have. Ooh, I have no bookmarks in this PDF.
Ooh, do I have any in mine? I don't have bookmarks.
You have the same one as me.
I guess the same one.
No. So at least in the deluxe edition, we will say there are no bookmarks, but there is hyperlinks. If there are inline hyperlinks, it doesn't bother me so much that there's not bookmarks. But
I can't remember if there are inline hyperlinks. Yeah. Although from this like opening couple of pages, I'm like, there have to be, because there's already a ton of links in here, you know?
You would think. It would surprise me if not. So
one the book, would think.
The entirety of the book is, I think, roughly around 150 pages. It's like 130, 135. But a lot of that is bestiary, world stuff, tables. Like the actual meat of the book is only like 30 to 40 pages, which is great. Yeah.
I did notice when I first cracked this open and I like, it was like 104 whatever pages, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I have the evening, and I was done pretty quick with like what was most of it, and a lot of it. There's a lot of space for like art. So where there is, especially in like I believe the character section, there's a lot of. It's not as like packed and wordy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, and I forgot that I moved this for a different stream yesterday. I liked the. We'll get into the layout stuff the whole way through. I think it's really nice. One of the things you just said, it's none of the book felt cramped at all. There's some we'll get into, like, I think some of the stuff should be in a little bit different of an order, but I really like that this is a full game in that it's got rules, but it also has a world, it has bestiary, it has tables, it has everything. And I felt like none of it felt unnecessary. Like when I got to the tables, I thought they were really cool, really good, and I love all the stuff in the back. So I didn't feel like, even though I felt like this is a good 100+ pages for a game that you could do.
I super agree.
So we've got part 1 is the Shimmer, which we'll go over. Part 2 is how to play the game. Part 3 is character creation. Part 4 is creature features, which is mostly the bestiary. Part 5 is Tunnel Master, which is adventures and GM stuff. And then part 6, the Shimmer Encyclopedia, is basically tables of stuff, all sorts of stuff for all sorts of reasons, which is really great. It's like 25 pages of that, which is good. Open to another couple pages of the Shimmer art, the underground bug city stuff. Again, purples, pinks, blues, halftones, just gorgeous all the way through. Absolutely stunning. I love the art style.
I do like the style. I like the I don't want to say cartoony is like a negative, but the more like cartoon-esque comic booky art going on. I'm like, oh, I really do enjoy.
Yeah.
I like the city looks, little mounds, just dots on them.
Yeah, I really like it because it is cartoon-ish, but it's not cartoony, and that, like, it doesn't have like cartoony proportions necessarily and stuff like that, you know?
It's interesting because I feel like I love cartoons. I love animated series, right? But I think for so long people describe something as cartoony as like a negative. They're like, I don't ever mean it like that. I mean like is reminiscent of good animated shows that I watched as a kid, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. Chapter 1, the Shimmer. The Shimmer is the setting. Basically, and also a bug's guide to the Shimmer. This whole thing is this book turned Troika. This has a lot specifically about the Shimmer as a setting too, and it sounds like the 2E will have Shimmer too. But basically, what is the Shimmer? The Shimmer is the deep underground caves full of weird creatures and bugs and molds and funguses and stuff. It's the world you live in, and that world is the underground, full of just bugs and mushrooms and stuff. That's it. That's the Shimmer. That's the whole Shimmer.
Honestly, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I want to be surrounded by bugs and mushrooms. If I could be a bug as well, great. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. I'm not scared of bugs, but I don't really like them in my house.
I
will say that I will always leave the spiders in my house though. Not like the ones that will kill me, but the ones that won't kill me. Like if I have a spider up in the corner of my ceiling, I fucking love that shit. They eat up so many fucking bugs. Like we used to have a plant by our window, and there was like a gnat problem with it, and then a spider moved in the corner right by it. Gnat problem disappeared. Loved it. Love a good spider. Arachnids greater than bugs. So that's about it. That's the whole setting. In the lore of what it is, basically the creatures that you're gonna play in it are Roans. The heroes of the game, if you call us such, are the Roan. They're a part human, part cockroach, a little bit alien, weird looking creature. There's an explanation later in a little subpart of like where the cockroach and person and everything came from. I like it, but basically that's it, and that's the whole thing.
The world's strangest threesome. It was an alien, a human, and a cockroach.
And then there's you now.
And now you're here.
Yeah. In polite society, Roan is divided into 3 distinct day cycles, and that's partially because, well, that's not partially. It is because Roan are like eggs. They used to be part of a distinct hive mind, but that hive mind over time, once the queen kind of started getting older and losing power, they became their own consciousness, each creature, each Roan. But each body contains 3 consciousnesses, you know, and at any point, any of those can come to the fore. And yeah, Rhodes have come up with a plan to get rid of that pesky die all the time problem, and that is by allowing the brain to take over the body. So like you could literally have a dead consciousness inside the body and the body's still going, right? That's fine. We'll get to why I don't like that mechanically shortly. Story-wise, it's cool, whatever. And then there's more story. This is like a 3-4 page story of
it is quite long.
What I just said. I'm fine with it. I like for a game that we said is everything that you need. I'm totally fine with this narrative in the beginning. The writing is fine all the way through. I think it has this quirky, like it tries to be quirky with little like jokes and nods. Like I feel like it's like I wouldn't like a British person to be reading it at the beginning because that implies quirky. You know, when we watch movies, because things have to be like pigeonholed into specific things. The quirky writing all the way through.
That's racist, I think. So
it's not racist. But the quirkiness for the most part is fine all the way through. There's a couple times where I'm like, okay, I mean, I get it. I feel like I get it. Like, but for the most part, I think it fits with the setting. It fits with the vibes. And we're still going with the story. But great art all the way pieces.
Through. Yeah,
yeah. I love this weird cockroach thing with the sword.
The one with the cloak and the sword, love that piece. You know,
such a good one. It's such a good one. And then we get to how to play the game, chapter 2. We're actually going to get into the setting of the game. So again, basically, you're bug creatures in the underground, and each of you contains 3 consciousness. In a bug society where you fight other bugs and there's mushrooms and stuff. That's the premise. But I will say, if you do get this book, read those first 5 pages. I do actually really enjoy the setting of the Shimmer, and I think that they did a lot of good writing for it. We're just not going to sit here and read it on the show.
I'm also the type of person, like, when I open the book, I want a short blurb to begin with, and then I want a section later on where it's deeper, because I kind of want to get the ball rolling on, like, getting into the game personally. But that's just personal.
Yeah, I mean, that like a 1 paragraph kind of thing, and then it'll let you. Yeah, that'd be nice. Did they actually have that? No, I guess they didn't really have that on page 1. It just kind of rolled right into the story of it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine either way. I think again, like I didn't mind this one. I think the art all the way through really helps too. That is one thing I will say about this book. It does not hurt for art at all. Like when we look at the layout, and I think one of the interesting things that they do a lot is the numbers in the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. The mushroom page end numbers. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They all have that. And there's also this part at the top. I'm pointing where the people watching can see. The bar across the top of every page is fine. It doesn't bother me. It's a nice little takes up space at the top. It lets you put the like the what's going on. This one says skills and tests in the top, so like it's got a direction at the top. When I first started looking through it, I was like, why do we need this on every page? And it does, but it didn't bother me. I think it's a nice, cool little piece of art. It looks like a broken concrete, like broken stone, kind of a little bit. It doesn't bother me. I like it.
I kind of like, and I feel like older games did this, and I feel like maybe not as many new ones in my memory do. But at the top of every page, it tells you what section it is. Mm-hmm. And like, I do like that. I like people to open a book and be like, oh, okay, I'm in this section. And internally, I probably read this a few times, so I know what's next or whatever.
I completely agree. And I think some older RPG books also always had that like a solid bar across the top too. I remember older like D&D books would have that, so it doesn't bother me at all. I like it actually, and it's a nice way to have a little bit of art and a pop of color on every page as well, which is nice. So playing 3-6 as a standard RPG. I will say a lot of words for explanations of things, a lot of words, which is fine. Yeah, it's just fine. I do when they get to actually having it written out, I do think they explain it well. But we'll get to this. So to embrace the chaos of the Shimmer, they suggest 3 players at least 3 players. One is the Tunnel Master, the TM, which will be your Dungeon Master, your regular, the person that runs the game, and at least 2 players. But don't forget, rules as written. Each player actually controls like 3 players because, as we said, each Roan, which is what you are, has 3 consciousnesses in it. So mechanically, what do you think that means? There's 3 of you. We'll get to, again, why I don't like that. Each player will need 3 6-sided dice, 3 d6, a bunch of other stuff, and et cetera, et cetera. It is suggested you discuss this playstyle with the game host before showing up with a sack full of moldering wood and fungi. It says that because it says you could always just write your character sheet into a piece of bark with mushrooms and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You absolutely could. Yeah. Cute. The game is designed to be theater of the mind. One thing I did really like about the Bug's Guide to Shimmer book, the Troika version, is there's a bunch of pages of just tunnel art in that, which I really like, which is dope. I have the PDF up. We'll probably flip through that in a little bit. Blah, 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 blah. A bunch of pages on like play a game. Piece of art here. The rules are laid out because they're rules. Okay, skills and tests. So the core of 3d6, and what is it? It says, as befitting the name, a lot of the game is role playing, blah, 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 more words. There are 2 types of tests in 3d6. Standard tests, like if you can run fast enough to reach the end of a bridge, etc., etc. This is a skill test, and each player can have 6 skills. To perform a skill test, you simply roll all 3 of your 6-sided dice, add them together, and then add or subtract any modifiers that apply to that skill. This is a 3d6 roll. For standard tests like this, there will be a goal. The higher the goal, the harder the challenge. An average difficulty is 9 to 12. A hard goal is typically 13 and up. Now, if you average 3d6 roll, it is 10.5. It is 10 and 11 are equal. It's 10.5. So 9 to 12 makes perfect sense because 10 and 11, 9 to 12, that is a normal roll. 13 up is difficult. So on a standard skill test, a 3d6 test, 3d6 and on average get a 9 to a 12. Easy peasy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Math checks out. We love when the math checks out.
Yeah, math is good. Sometimes when you're playing blah 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 blah. In addition to 3d6, there are 3 die-6 rolls, which we'll get into shortly. That's mostly for combat. There is a whole page here of notations. I do like this page. And I will... No, okay, so you got 3 d6s, 3 die-6. Oh, no, wait. Nope, no inline hyperlinks. And no bookmarks.
No bookmarks and no inline hyperlinks.
Come on, McClanahan. Get on it. 3d6, you roll 3 6s. 3 die-6, we'll get to that on page 10. 2d6, which means you roll 2 6s. 1d6, you roll 1. 1d3, guess what? You roll 1d6 and they just split it up. And then you get d66 and d666. For those who don't know what that means is you don't roll, there is no d66. I mean, there could be. You roll 2 d6s, but you put them together like percentile dice. So 2d6, if you roll a 2 and a 4, it's a 24. Same thing with 666. If you roll a 2, a 4, and an 8, it's 248. Well, you can't roll an 8. You know what I mean? That's it.
It's so funny. I haven't had my coffee yet, so that one totally slid by me. And then the moment you start saying that, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
We're good. We're doing great.
All right. So 6 skills. I do like this. This is, I always think that 6 skills is too many, but in a game called 3d6, where every roll is d6s, how could you not have 6 skills? I mean, you just have to. You got 6 of them. You got accuracy, intelligence, charm, durability, power, and speed. Accuracy is agility and how precise you are, and range weapons, right? Intelligence is intelligence, charm is charm. Durability is your resistance to damage, both in regards to attacks and falls on poisons and stuff. Power is physical strength, but it's also your melee. And then speed is different than accuracy, even though accuracy is agility. Speed is literally just how fast you are. But also for travel, like climbing and stuff like that. So it's It's a mix. Because speed, it says, is for attacks, but accuracy is for ranged weapons. We'll get into it. But those are your 6 stats. Accuracy, intelligence, charm, durability, power, and speed. And then we come to the Combat 3 Die 6 test, and I love the art on this page too. It's just like a roan hand sticking down from like the wrist down, like a 3-finger hand holding like a broken sword, like mushrooms growing on it and like gunk falling off of it. It's dope. That is a great piece. Okay, so the 3 Die 6 combat test. There's even a picture, if you go to the next page, of a blue die, a pink die, and a silver die, I think they call it. And those are the 3 die that you should have for the game, basically. So
it is funny to see, and I take no issue with this, but we just almost never see like just a real world picture like set in the book. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. I mean, it's cool. It's good. The visual representation for what we're about to talk about. So. Yeah,
that also, when I first saw it, I was like, those are real. That's a real dice. They definitely took a picture of like real dice with like little plastic bugs around them and stuff. And like, it's interesting. So combat in 3 Die 6 test. So we already talked about 3 D6, but a 3 Die 6 is an interesting roll. And I do enjoy the core mechanic of this. I think it's extremely clever. I really do like it.
I do too.
So for 3 Die 6 tests, you roll all 3 dice, but they each mean something different. So it is all rolls are player facing. So much like Merkborg, you will roll for attack and you roll for defense. The Tunnel Master or the GM never rolls against you. And you'll always roll all 3 dice, even though sometimes one won't matter. So when you roll 3 Die 6, you're rolling to strike your opponent and defend against their attack against you. And before rolling, you assign 1 die to be your pink or offense die, 1 die to be your blue or defense die, and 1 die to be your silver or effect die. I don't like the term effect. I'll explain why in a second. I don't know how you feel about it. So this is an interesting kind of notation that they put in the book here that I did not like at first. I'll say that. And then once I actually went to the example of play we'll look at later and actually like looked at a sheet and looked at the bad guy sheet and actually did it out, it's much more intuitive once you've done it once that it didn't bother me. But like trying to picture it in my head without doing it on paper, it bothered me a little bit. So
I should have done it on paper then, because I did have a hard time like picturing this in my head. So
yeah. And I didn't like that the bad guys and the good guys all have the same things. Yeah. But again, it made a ton of sense once you actually like looked at it and did it once. Then I was like, oh, okay, I totally makes sense. And I don't know how I would do it differently.
I also don't mind, especially in something like this where it's not like overly complicated as in like what a character sheet looks like. I really don't mind. And I do actually kind of like when enemies work on a same or similar system as the players. Yeah. I feel like it makes it a lot easier to hack and also for characters to kind of understand. And if they want to like steal stuff from an enemy conceptually, point being, I did like that part.
Yeah, I agree. So what the fuck are we talking about? So basically the page here, it has a pink square, a pink circle, a blue square, and a blue circle. What the fuck does that mean? So, and then the notation next to it is a P in a bracket, and that's by the pink square. And then a pink in parentheses, which is by the pink circle. So brackets are square and circles are parentheses. And the same thing for blue. There's a B in brackets and a B in circles. So the P square represents your 2-hit offense modifier. This number affects your die roll when it comes to your character hitting an opponent. And then the P bracket circle represents offensive damage modifier. This number affects the amount of damage you do. So when you roll your pink die, right? And then you look at your to hit modifier, which will add to that number to hit. And then the damage you do is the number in the circle. So square modifies your hit, circle does the damage. Square takes the circle, you know. Blue represents your 2 block defense modifier. This number affects your die roll when it comes to your character defending and attacking against the enemy. That means when you roll your blue defense die, this number will adjust that number to block the enemy's attack. And then the blue circle represents your defense damage modifier. This number affects the amount of damage a character takes if the enemy's attack is successful. So if it does get past and hits you, that number will reduce the damage. So if it hits you for 3 and their defense, the blue circle is 1, you only take 2. So that is what all of these mean. Pink is offense, blue is defense, and you have to hit and block and to block modifiers, and then you have offensive, defensive damage. Either doing more or how much you receive. So that
is a clever way to organize it, you know, like, and I think maybe upon hearing you say it out loud versus me obviously reading it to myself, it already feels a little less clunky than when I read it to myself in the description, you know. Maybe it's just hearing it out loud from somebody else. But yeah, it makes sense, you know.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So we'll come to how those numbers come around later, and then the effect die will come up a little bit too, because again, you roll 3 die 6, the effect die comes into effect. But those are your blue and pink dice. So and then there's a page here for creature combat stats. So the enemy has a set of pink and blue stats, but they mean something slightly different. So the pink, for them, the pink square is their to hit stat. This is the number you need to hit or roll higher than in an attack to successfully hit the enemy. So when you look at an enemy sheet, the yellow number, basically you can look at their AC to hit. Like that is your to hit modifier, to hit them, right? So if it's a 4, you have to roll at least a 4 with modifiers, and then you hit them. The bad guy circle is how many hit points the enemy has. So that's directly HP. And then the bad guy blue square represents the enemy's ability to hit you. You must roll this number or higher to defend against the attack. And then the blue is the damage that they do if they hit you. So there is a cool, like the rest of the page is a nice graphic that literally has like every single one written out with an explanation marked to it, including the difference for like size, initiative, and things like that. So this is a really nice way. So it's fungoids. It literally says this indicates that you need to roll a 3 or better, because it's a 3+, a 3+, a 2, and a 2. It does 2 points of damage, etc., etc. It's a really nice graphic. It really explains it really well. I like this a lot. This is what more games should have, things like this, where it literally gives you a stat block and then like lines to it with boxes explaining it.
Yeah, absolutely. They broke this down really well, and immediately I'm like, yeah, this is good. I love it. This is like up there with flowcharts. You know, we see like the instant flowcharts. I'm like, your game should have stuff like this, like little tools, like graphic tools built in to make understanding the process easier. I do really like how and this is gonna be an obvious thing, but I'm the guy who says the obvious things, I think. But I do like how the enemy stats and your stats like directly correlate like linearly to each other. To where you can just go back and forth as you go. I'm like, yeah, good, very clean. You know, I think it really does address some of the issue that, like, I don't know if you have, but sometimes I have, where I have a bunch of numbers written down or data for enemies, and I'm like, not that I don't understand that I wrote it down myself or whatever, but it's just like I have to look for stuff on a page. This makes it much quicker.
Yeah. I completely agree. And again, like when I went through and actually played out the example with myself, it made it make so much sense. Like you said, like color coding it. At first I was like, say Wuthering Heights, not everyone's name needs to be the same. But then I was like, oh no, I do like that the colors are different. I'm just looking at my notes real quick to make sure that I'm not passing anything.
Don't worry, we're on page 13 right now, so we're not there yet. Yeah, I'm watching.
Good. So combat and damage, your goal in 3d6 test is to match or roll higher. I already talked about that. If you manage to hit your opponent, you do 1 point of damage to them unless you have something that adds damage. So base, if you hit, you always add at least 1 damage. And then the final die, the silver effect die, tells the Tunnel Master how the enemy responds or what happens next. Creatures in Shimmer have a limited life, and as they are injured, that damage affects their ability to go on fighting or escape. Each enemy in the game has a specific quantity of actions, and each time you hit them, they lose one of those actions. When they run out of actions, they're dead. Some may have a last gasp effect. We'll get to that. Likewise, damage done to your own builds up, prevents them performing at their peak ability. Each time you are hit, you must choose a skill of that specific mindset to damage. Damage skills still roll 3d6 for skill tests, but they must disregard the highest die rolled. They also lose any bonuses. More vitally, once all 6 are damaged, that particular mindset is dead. Okay, so goddamn, that is one of the most harshest disadvantages I've ever fucking seen. Like,
I really like the idea of you or the enemy taking damage and getting worse for it. I think it's like we've pointed out, and like Tunnel Goons is something very similar, right? For the enemies, their HP is their difficulty score. It's easier to hit them as they get more hurt, which, like, from a real world logic standpoint, I'm like, yeah, of course, the harder you get hit in a fight, fights are short in real life. The harder you get hit, the more you get hit, the worse you are at fighting. And I like that there is a mechanic that represents that.
I do like it, but here's the thing. So it's not just fighting. It's not just that you're worse at fighting. This is specifically says for skill tests. So this isn't even like a 3d6 roll. But it's literally you roll 3d6 and get rid of the highest. And it's not that you're rolling a 2d6 roll. So you roll 3d6 and get rid of the highest for disadvantage. You are normally rolling 3 dice, so you're literally removing an entire dice in your pool, and not only is it one of the 3 that you need total, it's the highest one. That's crazy to me, because how I would do disadvantage in 2d6 is I would roll 3d6 and you get rid of the highest, so you have the 2 lowest. This is 3d6, you get rid of the highest, but you're still trying to reach a number that is best reached with 3 dice. To me, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's brutal. But the thing is, not only that, it's every fucking, anytime you get, so you don't have HP in this game, right? Mm-hmm. Every time you get hit at all in combat, you take that many hits to skills.
Oh, yeah. I guess I was more talking about the enemies, because the enemies only really lose like the amount of actions they can do.
I love for the enemies.
Yeah.
Yes. We're going to get into the enemies in just a second. But for regular rounds for your character, if you get hit, you have to pick a mindset to damage. So if you take 3 damage, you have to pick 3 stats that are now damaged.
That sucks so bad.
And every one is 3d6, drop the highest, still trying to hit like 9 to 12. That's fucking brutal. Like, that's brutal to me. I'm okay with that if maybe you drop the lowest so that you're only using 2 dice. That's just a brutal disadvantage. I don't know. I wrote something about that, and then critical hits. So on occasion you come across an opponent or an obstacle that you can't possibly hit or defend. Either their to hit stat is too high, or maybe they're just too good. Either way, there's always hope. At any time you roll all 3 6s, it's a critical hit. So that's the only way you can crit in this, is to roll 3 6s.
That's the one that stood out to me, really. I'm like, that's so like statistically fucking difficult to do. Like, like I have a dice pool game that I've been working on, and it's 5 or 6 to hit in that game, and sometimes you're rolling like 5 die or 5 or 6, and it's like, dude, 3 6s. I mean, we hardly get 3 5s and 6s,
Bro, you know what's funny? We did Coriolis the other day on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. First of all, Coriolis, the Great Dark, I'm a huge fan. I can't wait for that to drop completely. Great rule set. Better than Dragonbane.
Oh, yeah?
I was rolling 14 d6s. And you only need 1 d6 to succeed. And I was failing, or maybe getting 1. And my luck might have just been terrible, but it's hard to get 6s. I mean, you literally have a 1 in 6 chance for one of them, but the numbers just stack. It's crazy. So anyway, to get a crit success, you get 3 6s, and you hit no matter what and do double damage.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I pulled up the, I have a table of dice pool probability, and I was like, for just a 5 or a 6 to get like 3 hits in this one, which is a 5 or a 6, if you're rolling 7 dice, you have a 42% chance, but that's to do a 5 or a 6. You have to cut that down even more, because it's only, that seems actually brutal. Like,
yeah. the odds of rolling 3 of anything is crazy.
Yeah.
And then critical fail is all ones. Same thing. You fail, you miss everything. The enemy hits you, double damage to you. Everything sucks. That's just rough. There may be times in the game when part of 3d6 roll will have no effect, like when an enemy is caught by surprise and cannot defend. In those circumstances, you still roll all 3 just in case you crit or fail. I like that it's in a big blue box. This is important. It's an important piece of information. Put it in a box. Yeah, put a bird on it. You know. More combat rules. Regular weapons and unarmed combat. Most weapons in 3d6 impart no additional bonus to combat. They simply mean you are armed and capable of a normal attack. However, some do have some bonus effects, which is cool. I love that. Like, you just do 1 damage no matter what. Who cares what you're carrying? But sometimes special weapons will do special stuff. That's it. If you have broken your weapon or are unarmed when entering combat, all of your attacks are -1. If you do have a weapon on your possession, it is assumed you can draw it for battle unless your hands are full. Blah, 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 blah. It's -1 because sometimes your damage modifier is a little bit different.
It's also it's -1 P with a square bracket around it.
Yeah, so it reduces your square bracket. It reduces your to hit by 1, not like
it's a good notation. I really don't mind the notation like that, and especially because like I just said before stream, I'm reading Classic Traveler right now, and it uses like a hexadecimal notation for which is totally unnecessary, by the way. But this, I'm like, this is fine, you know?
Yeah. Again, it bothered me for a little bit, and then once it made sense, I was like, oh, I actually really do like this a lot. Yeah. And it's because the brackets and the parentheses really are such a simple, clean way to do the square and circle. Like, it just fucking makes sense. I'm fixing to come across a thing that I talk about in my notes a little bit. Range attacks. Yeah. Unlike regular combat, range attacks, whether with bow and arrow, sling, or thrown weapon, is decided with your accuracy skill. It's an accuracy skill test. The target must at least be 1 area away from the character, because it does use zone combat. We'll get into that, and I love that. I love zones. The team will determine the test goal depending on terrain and situation. Unless your character weapon has a modifier, ranged weapons also do 1 point of damage. However, the enemy's armor is taken into consideration with the test goal already, so success is a hit. Okay, so do you see where it says ACC skill test and area and stuff? How it's like weirdly capitalized, but the same height as the other stuff around it. I fucking hate it. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Just bold. Just do bold. I don't know what the point of this was.
I don't know if you've read the Will Yost style guide.
I love Will Yost, by the way.
Yeah, totally. Me too. Listen to the Brain Trust. It's actually fucking hilarious. But yeah, I know people are very shy about bolding these days. You know.
Yeah.
I guess this is 2021. This is 2021. So what am I saying? But
yeah. Bold your shit. Bold your shit. Italicize. Make it all caps. The same size. This is the thing that gets me. Is the word area. The A is big, and then the REA is small, but it's all capitals. You know what I mean?
It's a different font too, right?
It's a completely different font. Yeah. It's weird. It's weird.
It is
and then
weird.
there's some.
It's not necessarily that I take issue with it being a different font. I take issue that it's not slightly bigger. You know what I mean? Than the rest of the text around it.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that, like, the A is bigger than everything else, but then the REA capitalized is the same height as all of the lowercase letters next to it.
But I think the capital A is the same size as other capital letters in the other font type. I'm saying is overall the font type needs to be, if it's going to be different and not bolded, it needs to be a couple sizes bigger. You know, so it actually stands out.
Yeah, that's the thing I said in there, because there's another part where I think it's just like, or also just like make it a different color. Like, if it's going to be something that's important, like there's so many times where this does such a good job. Honestly, I love the layout on this. Like, it's so easily, I think people are shy about using like big font headers and stuff. They do a really good job of it in here with the spacing and everything. I think the layout on this is fantastic. I love that it's not double column. I think the fonts that they chose and the colors and everything are really fantastic. But I love
a big header, bro. I don't take any issue with that, you know.
But there's just some other spot. I was trying to look at my notes where I talk. Oh, it says bolding versus weird caps. That's what I wrote. Page numbers are italicized, but then not. Oh, yeah, it uses P, but then the word page too. Anyway, there's just a couple inconsistencies. That's ranged attacks. Anyway, I don't like the way that the emphasis is put on like surprise and damage and area and stuff like that. Just color it, bold it, do something different. I don't know. I wasn't a fan. Surprise is surprise. It's exactly what you think surprise is. If you're surprised, you get to hit and stuff. Whatever.
Listen, I'm fine. I surprise is one of those rules that sometimes people try to be too clever with it, or be too technical. If you make surprise exactly what we all think it's going to be, I feel like that's fine with me. That's good.
Yes, it's perfect. You get to hit first. Good job. Escaping combat. At times, the world of Shimmer is too dangerous. Sometimes you want to get away. I like this. In these circumstances, your character rolls a speed skill test against the attacking creature's initiative number. If you succeed, you are clean and you're gone. If you fail, you can still escape, but the creature hits you and automatically does their damage stat to you. I like that. So if you want to leave, you just get to leave. You're just rolling to see if you get away clean or if they get to hit you on the way out. You know, a little letting the door hit you. You know. Yeah.
I also like the rolling against the character, the enemy's initiative. I'm like, that makes so much sense. Are you going to be able to get away faster than they're about to act? You know, like or whatever.
Yeah.
Very good twist on that rule. You know.
Yeah. It's clever. I think the system is clever, like most of the way through. I think there's one part that I think is too clever, and that we'll get into. But for the most part, I love me a good D6 roll. So the 3d6 is really great. And we'll explain what the effect roll is because we really haven't gotten to that at all at this point either. Initiative and combat rounds, which is interesting. Any combat that is started without either side having surprise, rounds happen, initiative order. Each player creature in the game has an initiative number, and whoever has the highest initiative number gets to engage first. I like that. It's just a flat fucking number. There, no one has to roll anything. You just ask everyone's number, and after the first time or two, the TM will know what your initiative number is anyway, and it's fine. I really like that it's a flat number, no rolling. It just lines up the way that it is in the game.
No, I want to put 2 tokens each in a little bag with an end turn.
Yeah. Talk about too clever for its own good. The only thing I don't like about Troika.
Listen, I have absolutely talked shit on that the initiative stack. I'm sure it's a ton of fun to do like a couple times. I just would not do it forever. You know?
Yes, that's what I've said over and over again. Is I think it's conceptually it's extraordinarily clever. I just think it would get old so fast. I think it's kitschy. It's what's the word I'm looking for?
Gimmicky.
It feels gimmicky. Yeah. Creatures will almost always focus their attention on the roam that most recently attacked them. I love that little explainer where you don't even need to worry about like. This is what the monster would do. It's going to hit the last thing to hit it because that makes fucking sense. Otherwise, they attack the closest one. Makes sense. I love that. So once all involved in combat have had a chance to engage, flee, or die, a new round begins. On the second round of combat, creatures will do whatever action they rolled in the previous round on the silver or effect die. Again, really taking the impetus off of the Tunnel Master and putting it onto the die roll, which is great. So
I do like that.
We'll get to what that means again, I guess, eventually.
I also think stuff like that is very much like anti-drama rules. You know what I mean? Yes. Like if it's on the die roll, it's not on the game at Tunnel Master, right? And if the enemy attacks the thing that attacked it last or whatever's closest, then that decision's taken off. So there's a lot less because not that I think a lot of DMs are adversarial, especially in our space, because I don't think they are, but I do think maybe newer players or just players in general will sometimes read actions as maybe more malicious than there is malice actually behind it. But stuff like this, you're like, you don't have to worry about that at all because it's taken out of your hands.
Yeah. I completely agree. That's why I love player-facing roles and everything. Yeah. Any game where the GM doesn't have to roll dice against players or make decisions against players is a preference, because like you just said, it leaves it up to fate and leaves it up to the dice, and lets the players, if they're going to be mad at fate and the dice and themselves, and I really like that. So creature damage and effects. As mentioned before, creatures have a certain amount of hit points, and each of these hit points also gives them a reaction. As they are injured, they lose actions from top to bottom until they flee from battle or die. The easiest way to track this is to print out the card versions of enemies and violently mark out their actions each time you damage them. That's what we're talking about, a little bit like the cute little writing every now and then. For the most part, it's fine. It didn't
there are definitely
me.
Jokes that hit in this. There's definitely points where I was like, I laughed at their voice when they were writing. They definitely do hit.
Most of them, and then some of them are just like, okay, that was the.
But listen, I'll take that over the person who tries way too hard and like none of it lands.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Yeah. Again, I have no problem with the way it was written. So there are also generic life trackers, blah blah blah. You can do multiple points of damage in a single attack, and this does mark off multiple actions. So each roll of the 3d6 has a silver effect roll attached. Again, I don't like the word effect. This tells you how the creature reacts to the attack. If an effect has been marked off due to damage, the reaction is the next one down the line. Okay, so question for you. All right, let me read the sentence out loud to you again.
I know.
You already know what I'm going to say. Okay, so each roll of the 3d6 has a silver/effect die roll. So you roll an effect die roll. Okay.
Yes. The key word is effect.
Right. This tells you how the creature reacts to the attack.
So the key word is react.
React. If an effect has been marked off due to damage, the reaction is the next one down the line.
So it's a reaction roll.
It's a reaction roll. Thank you. Okay. I'm glad that we're completely on the same page.
The moment you're like, this keyword triggers another keyword, no. That just triggers the keyword that you're ending on, right? Like, call the thing a thing.
That's exactly what it is. Call the thing the thing.
Yeah.
If the effect roll tells you how a creature reacts, then call it a react roll. If a blue die triggers a pink move, just call it a pink move. Like just call it a pink. You know what I mean? Like, it's just called the thing the thing. Okay, so basic creature actions. You can attack, guard, flee, and rage. These are descriptions of the basic stuff that things can do. So, attack is an attack. The creature attacks nearest her own. Guard, the creature takes a step back and protects itself. The creature then attacks, but is -1 P bracket to hit, +1 B bracket to defend. This broke my brain for a little bit until I remembered that the bad guys are different than the good guys.
Yeah.
And it worked fine. Flee, they can run, or rage. The creature flies into a violent attack doing +1 B damage round. If they hit but suffering -1 P to hit adjustment as well, which means for guard, it's harder to hit them, and they get a bonus to defense. And on rage, they do more damage, but it's easier to hit them. That's how that works. Okay.
I know. I think first time through, if you're reading this, like, I think you're going to be like, oh, God, that's a little bit, that's something to parse out that takes some like thought. Like, I don't quite understand it, but like very quickly, I feel like it does make sense. It
does. And you know what we're going to, I want to do we're going to get to a thing, and then honestly, we're going to flip to 2 pages and look at it, and then we're going to get back to doing it because it makes sense, and that's why we do this. So creature death and last gasp. Some creatures have a last gasp. That means that when their shit hits the end, so this action can be, if the creature ever reaches 0 exactly, they get to use their last gasp action. Rones actually get 2, like the characters actually get 2 last gasp action they can pick, which really means they get 6 because they have 3 consciousness, but bad guys only get 1. Okay. So there's
totally forget that, by the way, over and over. Forget that it's a 3
consciousness. Because it makes no sense and I hate it. It's the only thing I genuinely dislike about this game.
It's like a panda from Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes, it is exactly like Panda from Jujutsu Kaisen. you only ever see that once, and then guess what? You never fucking see Panda again.
Do they really never refer to that again? Wow. Oh.
Bro, Jujutsu Kaisen is the biggest fall off of a manga that I've ever fucking read. Everything post everything post Zen and Arc and everything from the culling game on is hot fucking garbage. Anyway,
Whoa.
So yeah, it's bad. Okay, actually, let's just go down to a hill folk real quick, and we're just going to look at it real quick, and then once we get to the character section, we'll come back to the combat example. But I just want to look at a hill folk in the
you know, I got Ken, another hill folk.
Yeah. Hill folk are basically little ant warriors. They're diminutive little buddies. They live in a mysterious civilization. They seem to communicate with clicks, whistles, and meaningful abdomen wiggles. They're intensely protective of their mounds of loose soil. Yeah,
Bro,
so
that's a funny one though. Like that is actually like meaningful abdomen wiggles. You're just like,
yeah. Well, like, what I think is funny is that they're called hill folk. And it's because they have like the little soil hills that they go in. That cracks me. That actually got me. So there's a cool picture of an ant here with a bow and a helmet and stuff. It's dope. Again, love the art, love the halftone. It's great. So when we look at this character sheet for the hill folk, this is how it's explained. And we're going to go over character creation and explain that a little bit, but we're talking about the bad guy stat. So let's look at the bad guy stat. So you have 6+ to hit. So that's a pink square. That means that a character has to roll a 6 or more to hit the hill folk. Yeah. So on your pink die, you have to roll a 6 or more with modifier.
Also, shout out that they put 6+ and 5+ in here, because I think having that plus also just like creates a distinction. Because you were like 6+ to me means 6 or over. I'm like, oh, okay, obviously I know what that means. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then to defend, it's 5+ in a blue square. That means when you roll your blue die, you the character, you have to roll a blue or higher, or this thing hits you, because you're rolling the way the bad guy stats are written out. They're written out to you, right? So you have to roll a 6+ to hit the hill folk, and you have to roll a 5+ to defend against the hill folk. So that's what made it make sense in my head. I was like, oh, they're still talking to me. The bad guy stats are still written addressing me. 6+ to hit the bad guy, 5+ to defend against the bad guy.
I like the fact that this is written from the perspective of to the players at all points in time, because it makes it like you don't have to refigure. I can't remember what game we were talking about a few weeks ago, or like maybe a month ago, where it was like everything was player facing and there was like a minus, but that was actually like a good thing for the players, but it was confusing because you had to recontextualize it for what the player sees. But this is like, no, there's one point of view the entire time, and that works for whenever you do the math for this game.
Yeah, it's clever. I like it. So to hit, it also has the hit points in 3. That's a bad guy hit point. It only has 3. And then the damage is the damage that they do. Super fucking easy, super clean. Still follows the same general layout as the good guy sheet. But again, it's still all written for you. And that's what it makes sense. There's also the size, the initiative. And then if you look at reactions HP on the bottom, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, because there's only 3 hit points. So it's only got 3 reactions, which means that like if you hit the hill folk, right? And then on your silver die, you roll a 4, okay? You would cross off the top reaction because they lost 1 HP, so that reaction's gone. And then the 3, 4 means on the next turn, right?
It digs in and swarms forward, running around you in a circle of assaults, heedless of your attacks. Rage attack, so it gets +1 damage, and you get -1 to hit. Yeah. Oh no, it gets -1 to hit.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, so the whole that is the thing. So whenever you roll your dice, you know what to hit, you know how to defend against them, and it tells you the next action that that creature is going to do. Clever, easy, and again, it only has as many actions as it has HP. So every time you hit it, it loses an action. I like it. I think it's really clever.
I think it works really well. it is a thing that is in fact clever and successful instead of just trying to be clever. You know what I mean? Like this actually does work. I do think this is a good system.
Yeah.
I am having a hard time relating it to another thing that I've seen do this, which I like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it makes it super solo game friendly. We're going to get into a section that talks about solo roles, but it's already like, it's so easily solo. You can tell, like, you don't even need the Tunnel Master for any of the things that you're doing already. Like, you can tell all of that already. Plus, the adventures that they do put out for it are solo adventures. Like, both of these are, first of all, I also like that the book is like, it's that flippy, like, half and half. But it's already built for that. Anyway, so in the combat example, Vicious, which is a character type, fights a bunch of hill folk. It makes fucking sense. Read it. Do it. There's also a reference here to murder hobos, which I think is funny. Role players are sometimes referred to as murder hobos because they often don't have a home, and one of the room's killing things and taking their possessions. It is a noble tradition. That's funny. It references murder hobos earlier, and I like the little explainer. Let's chew through the rules of character creation real quick. Yeah, right. So movement, it's zones. It's zones, and I really like that a lot. You basically can move from one zone to the other. Each zone is considered 6 to 8 steps or whatever. It's like a small size room, very like Merkborgy. There are adjustments for terrain types. So normal, you're fine. Precarious, which means it's slippery or dangerously slanted, you get a -1 to speed and accuracy test. And a rough terrain makes it difficult to travel. All speed tests are -2, and all and melee attacks also have a -1p to hit as well. And sometimes it can be impassable. Water is a thing. There's a whole section here for like water. Most don't like swimming, some can. There are tests for durability and everything like that for water. We get into a part that I thought was interesting. So the currency in the Shimmer, this is what I'm talking about. Why the fuck are we talking about currency in the Shimmer right now? We haven't even got to character creation rules.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't realize. Yeah, we haven't. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. It's weird. It's weird how much they put before character creation, because I would have just put the base. So you know me, I would have put the 3d6 and 3d6 roll and then character creation and then everything else after. But this puts everything before character creation and then goes to character creation, which is fine to a point.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I would put character creation before this. Yeah, I agree. I think putting the core mechanics and then character creation, and it's like, oh, okay, now everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. So currency in the nectar, there's nectar, amber, large gems and small gems. Nectar is basically like the dope shit. It is what used to feed the queen, but now you can use it. It is the thing that's worth the most. It's worth 5 amber, 50 large gems, or 100 small gems. Then you have amber, which is amber, like you would think amber, like things that trap bugs and stuff. Right. And you heard the relation to that. So they're worth 10 large gems and 50 small gems, and you have large gems, which are crystal, silver, gold, whatever. They're big. They're worth 10 small gems, and small gems are small gems. Food and healing. So this is interesting. There are only 2 types of food, rations and nectar. Both can be found in the wild depths of the Shimmer, but neither is abundant. Specific mushrooms Roan eat can be hard to find, and nectar is harder still. You can make a Shimmer thorough search, page 130, not hyperlinked. If you are not in combat, this is one of the other ones I'm talking about. There's like a weird, but also, okay, I'm sorry. Also, bro, what? Look at Shimmer thorough search. What do you see that's different about that?
And they bold stuff there.
It's bolded. Come on. If you are not in combat, by rolling 10 plus Cha skill test. If you succeed, roll on the table twice and select one. If you fail, roll. So basically, there are Shimmer thorough search. There's rolls for finding nectar and stuff. Rations are general foodstuffs, like mushrooms and whatnot. When eaten, they temporarily mitigate damage, but they do not heal it. 1 combat round or a single skill test. So basically, if you say you have damage to your accuracy and you really need accuracy, you can munch on a mushroom. It'll reduce that damage so you don't get the disadvantage to your skill check, but only for that skill check, and then it's gone. So it's temporary. And then you have nectar, which used to be the favorite of the queen.
Right.
It's the highest worth thing. Like, it's worth more than anything. But as a healing property, a single pearl of nectar heals a damage stat completely. So if you have that heal to your accuracy, a little pearl of nectar, boom, you're good. Other foodstuffs, who cares? Plant and fungi in the shimmer, they exist. Roll on the shimmer quick search table to see what particular plant you can ingest and the effects of it. This is your best chance for a quick boost in battle. You can do some other searches. There's an optional encumbrance rule. Roan are very strong. It basically says you can carry as much as you can carry +4 if you have 4 arms, and after that you have encumbrance, which is a thing. Mind swapping, time, and cocooning. I just fucking hate this. Like, this is genuinely the only thing that I just do not like about this game at all. So
I gotta keep 100 with you, bro. I saw that and I was like, I'm not reading this section.
Yep. That's basically how I felt about it. I genuinely enjoy this game, and the more I read it, the more I enjoy it. And then this is the only part where I'm like, I don't understand the problem you're trying to solve here. And if you weren't trying to solve a problem, no aspect of this is any necessity whatsoever. So the mindset of a Roan, as we said, each Roan, which is characters, have 3 consciousnesses in them, and each consciousness is called a mindset. So you have 3 fully distinct creature, like, minds inside each Roan body. And they're all aware of each other, and they can swap at any time. They can even swap after you hit something and before that thing does damage to you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do.
So I can just be like, I rolled, I hit the thing, and before the thing hits me, I'll be like, wait, I'm switching to this guy because he's the one I want to get stats with, and then immediately switch back.
Tracking that seems like a fucking nightmare.
Every character would have 3 character sheets, because eventually we're going to get to the character sheet. There's only 1 set on each one, so you have 3 full character sheets for each.
Oh my god.
I don't understand. So basically, each character only has 6 HP, because you take 1 damage to each stat, and once all 6 stats are done, you're dead. So you actually have 18 HP, right? Because you have 3 mindsets, each was 6, right? Just give one character 18 HP.
No.
Yeah. So this is how I hack this game. I'm gonna say it real quick. You only have 1 mindset. You have 18 HP, and to keep what they want to do with the game, each one of your stats has 3 pips on it. All right. Every time you take damage, you have to fill in one of those pips on one of the stats, exactly like you normally do. But you do it 3 times for each one. And then once all 3 pips are filled on a stat, that's when then you take disadvantage. It's the exact same thing. It's just multiplied by 3. It's the exact same thing, but you only have to have 1 character sheet.
No, so I'm actually, whatever comment you made, I switched to a different personality, and they took that comment in, and I switched. So
he took the mental damage from the thing that I just did.
Yeah, I don't.
But you switched back?
Yeah, listen, I think your fix is great, and I don't like this.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I would play. I would play this in a heartbeat, and I would play it exactly like I said, because it just seems completely pointless to try to run 3 characters when you can just run 1 the exact same way, but just by tripling everything. Makes no sense.
Is there something that we're like just missing and not understanding?
No, because I think if you go back to the shimmer part, it specifically says that bugs die quickly, and in order for, like, lore wise, which explains the mechanics, in order for the bugs to die less quickly, they evolved to have 3 mindsets in each body, so that if one dies, they can keep going.
It's weird that they evolved 3 consciousness and not just more hit points.
I think this is the only part where I'm like, I think this whole thing is clever, and I think this is just too clever. I think this is an idea that, like, got stuck and they just went with, and I just see no reason for it. I dislike it, and it doesn't fix anything in a fun, interest in a way that I personally enjoy. In a way that I personally enjoy. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying I think it's bad.
Oh,
in my opinion.
Our opinions on here are not like, if we ever say that we dislike a thing during the show, we're not saying necessarily it's bad, because our opinions don't matter.
Yeah, that's very true. Our opinions don't.
Yeah. So
this is genuinely just our opinions.
And sometimes people online point out stuff that I've previously thought was bad and discuss it, and I'm like, oh, I kind of do get that more now, you know? So
yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I like doing this with you.
You know?
That's one of the reasons I like doing this with you, though, is because both of us, I think, numerous times, I think you more than me, but still, both of us have done it, where we'll read something and be like, either did not get this or I do not like it. But in the context of us like talking out with each other, we both get to a point where we're like, oh no, actually we do like that. Or actually, no, we don't like that. But like the understanding, talking it out loud with somebody else is so much better and more interesting than just sitting and reading quietly by yourself with it.
I agree.
I like it a lot.
I mean, now that in the past, talking about us doing the show, because we've been doing it for like 3 years now or whatever. In the past, like several months or this latest year of the show, I have a lot more like free time, and I have people in my life who are way more accommodating to me wanting to do shit like this. So I've been playing a lot of this stuff solo now. So I actually do understand a lot more than just like sitting and quietly reading. Doing is learning for me,
Yeah. Well, that's like I said with the 3.6, I literally had to go through the example play and play out the example play. Then I was like, oh shit, the light bulb clicked on and I love this. Anyway, so mind swapping, time, and cocooning. You got 3 of them. They can swap out. It literally says like even just before a sword stroke or in that heartbeat before the poison reaches the blood, you can switch out. Okay. If done without a cocooning session, this is called a mind swap. Cocooning session means long rest. Okay. A mind swap.
Mom had a cocooning session.
However, each mindset has a certain exoskeleton configuration that they trained with and are used to. So basically, when you switch mindsets, it actually like reconfigures your body a little bit for that mindset to feel at home, right? So if you do a quick swap in combat, that's bad. You can, but it sucks for you. If they slot into the body without cocooning, all skills have a -2 from what they are normally at for that particular round, including combat skills.
That sucks. Yeah, that sucks.
That's not good. On a D6, that's not good.
That sucks.
Yeah. In order to properly drive the body without skill penalties, a mind has to do a good cocooning session. You have to do a long rest. It does the whole thing, blah, blah, blah. Remarkably, this type of rearranging is capable of regrowing severed limbs and healing crushed carapaces. However, any damaged skill remains damaged. When a group performs a cocooning session, all of this must mark off one on the time circles.
Cocooning session.
Yeah. That advances a time circle. There's a cocoon table to see what happens if everyone's cocooned up. And there's a note on mind swaps. You can mind swap at any time, even after dealing a hit, but before taking damage. It becomes a balancing act to decide which of your mindset, skills, and abilities are most important to you, and which ones worth sacrificing to a poison blade in the dark. Essentially, this does mean that you have 18 stats to damage before all 3 of your mindsets are dead, and you can apply the damage to any of them as you play. But once one of them is dead, their skills and talents are gone.
I'm gonna tell you, you can pretty much cut almost this whole page out for me.
just X the whole fucking page out.
You can really
If this means essentially that you have 18 HP, then what should you just have?
You can call the thing a thing.
Just have 18 HP, bro. I don't want 3 character shoots. Each of your mindsets dies when they've damaged all 6 of their skills. No saving throws, no magic, no nothing. All damage sustained remains. When all 3 mindsets are dead, you're dead. Boom. Irrevocably, you out. You are food for the shimmer. In the case of...
Sorry.
What's up?
I'm just pondering now, and I'm almost thinking like, even if not expanding to 18 HP, like maybe just make these characters like just really killable little bugs. Like they're bugs, they just die,
Well, so I think the reason that they like having more HP in the game is that as we read further along, there's a heavy focus on solo play, but B, it's really designed for one shots. They specifically say this is really designed for one shots. So they don't really want you having to like stop to redo another character and stuff like that, or have a bunch. It's not supposed to be a funnel. Like, you're supposed to get through, and I don't mind the choice mechanic. You know, we love choice here. You know, we love like that kind of shit. I just think that it overly, to me, it just feels overly complicated. I don't want to have to worry about 3 sheets. I don't want to have to worry about shit. Which one hasn't got their accuracy done yet? Like, I think it's obviously doable. It's obviously playable. I just see no reason for it. Again, I like my fix. Just 18 HP, and if you want to mark off things, then every one of your stats gets 3 pips, and once all 3 are gone, then you have, it's the exact same thing. Instead of damaging 3 characters, you just damage 1 character 3 times for the same result. Like, that's how I would play. Anyway, in case the mindset dies, which is quite likely to happen, your character can decide to remain dead, or do some other stuff. Anyway, essentially, it says essentially that is all you need to know to play 3-6 as a traditional RPG. But here's some solo rules, and it's not really solo rules. It's just solo kind of directions. Right. So one of the goals of 3-6 was to make it fun for solo play, which I think the effect / should be called reaction die does. So it says many of the rules for standard 3-6 also apply to solo play. The simplest style of solo play is to pick a few thematic things. All creatures have a set of reactions that tell you how they are the reactions, not effects. They trigger the effect die. Also, feel free to choose a reaction like rage and decide that upon initial encounters, etc. So there's no new rules because the game is already designed in a way that automatically makes it solo friendly. There is just a page here explaining a little bit of 2 pages of more just explainers and tips and tricks for going solo play. There are also solo specific adventures called Delve Your Own Dungeons, which again are here. Great piece of art. I love this like bust, like chest up side view of a roan.
They're weird little teeth things, you know.
Dude.
No
the
mouth
mushrooms
or very small mouth. Yeah, bro. Yeah. It's the art in this is not bad.
it's great. I really enjoy it a lot.
There's a lot of personality.
I really like the style a lot. And again, the halftone shading just really makes it, just gives it like a, I don't know, a person. It's just something about everything in here being like the brown to the paper, the halftone to everything. It's have a comic booky sketch feel that I really enjoy a lot.
Yeah, it has like the background has a like very dotting, like stippling effect from like a very comic booky effect as well.
Halftone.
Oh, okay, that's what. Okay,
yeah. Yeah. So that's all the rules you need. But here's character creation. 6 archetypes because of course.
Yeah. Those are all the rules you need. Oh yeah. Wait. Hold on.
Yeah. We'll just touch on one or two of the one of these to explain it, and maybe 1 or 2 other things. We'll cruise through this. We're really, and then we're just gonna get to the bestiary and stuff more, but we'll be about done here. When you have right, where's my note that says stop yelling? I'm really trying to stop yelling. I have a mic that picks up my volume just fine. There are 6 rounds with notable characteristics. The first step is picking your characters to meet the archetypes. Each archetype has skills and talents, and then last gasps. I love this note. These are distinct, unusual, and wholly unique archetypes, and were in no way inspired by any other RPG. But because we as humans like easy comparisons to relate to, I will connect each to a typical fantasy trope you'll recognize, but they weren't inspired by them. Don't make me add a page of open game license rules to this book. I like that. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny because also we're going to go through these and be like, yep, that's a rogue.
Oh, the burly hardcore barbarian, brutal. Yeah. Thick exoskeletons, primary and secondary arms have fused together to increase their power. So we'll just roll through them real quick because the art on them is fantastic. So brutal, they're brutal, they're thick, they're thick boys, but not the thickest boy. They are your barbarians. You have the clever, They're taller. They have small lower arms. There isn't magic in the Shimmer, but if there were, these bugs would have a penchant for robes. Instead, they devoted their intelligence to healing and specialty crafting and stuff like that. That's the clever. Then you have the nimble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on the charm, excellent since the fingers, they seem like creepy. The nimble rogues are equally adept at charming folk with a steal loot or stealing loot from charming folks. It's like a bard rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the precise, which is your sniper, ranger, archer. Are you just calling everything a rogue until we get to the one that's a rogue?
I said that was a brogue, you know.
Oh, I thought you said a rogue. I was like, you're like,
well, this one's kind of a rogue too.
So the sniper, ranger, archer, not fancy enough to be an elf, but close. And they have adorable fuzzy antenna. And then you have the resilient. This is the thick boy. These tanks. The small, incredibly compact drones, are entirely covered in thick, bulbous exoskeleton. They sacrifice maneuverability for safety and durability. And then you have the vicious. Fast and agile with just enough armor for your protection. Vicious Roan are the fighters. They excel at melee. They were the elite guards of the queen back in the day. I love the tiny little dagger in his bottom arms.
Yeah, it's just like
the short sword. Yeah. So those are the 6 archetypes. For the most part, let's just look at the vicious. I really like vicious. So it's a full page where you have the initiative listed. This is initiative 8 for the vicious. You have a piece of art. You have a nice blurb. I really like that. And then on the second page at the top, you have your 2 pink and 2 blue, the circles and squares. So it's a +2 to hit offensive modifier, +1 for damage, +1 to block, and 0 damage, which means 0 damage reduction. And then you have your 6 stats. And for almost every single character, you get a 0, a +1, a +2, a +3, a -1, and a -2. For every character except for 1. And I don't know why that was different, and it makes no sense to me, so I would just change it. Which one's the one? The brutal, for some reason, if you go back to brutal, it has a -3. Yes, a 0, a +1, +2, +3, -2, and -3.
I thought it was going to be slightly better, but that's actually worse.
It's a -3 instead of a -1. Everyone is the same except for the speed on this one, which makes no sense to me because the brutal are supposed to be like, they have thick exoskeletons, their arms are fused together and stuff like that. But if you go to resilient, it specifically says that it sacrifices maneuverability. So why wouldn't that be the -3? There is a thing with the resilient where it can bunch up the muscles and have like a quick shot. And that's why it's got decent speed. But I couldn't find a reason why the brutal is the only class, the only archetype that has a -3 on anything.
I thought it was going to be like especially if you're going to put a -3, I would have put in 2 +3s then and gotten rid of the +2. I would have balanced it out.
The numbers, yeah, but it's literally just -2 bone, minus the only an extra one. -2, yeah.
And also for a game that has set stats for all the character classes, like, you think it'd be like, okay, well, we want to make them like equal, right? Like the spread is different, but they're all the same modifiers for them.
Yeah.
No, but fuck this guy,
Yeah, fuck this guy. Honestly, what I would do if I wanted to really balance it out is I would take the 2 minus stats and I would just do a -2 on speed and a -1 on accuracy, and then just call it close enough. Yeah. Like I would just bump it all back down by 1. So anyway, so going down to the vicious, because I do like that one. That's the one I would play, probably just because I like the word vicious, because I'm a fucking edgelord piece of shit.
Yeah, you suck. We know.
Yeah. That's exactly why. 100%. So going through their character sheet, you have a number of special talents. So special talent, something like flashing blades, +1 P damage when using one-handed bladed weapons. 4 blades are better than 1 you can hold. Up to 4 one-handed weapons, et cetera, et cetera. Long jump, swashbuckler, web walker. Then you get last gasp. There's one death from above. Executes a precision strike on any creature within 3 areas by swinging from a grappling line. does 4 damage to the targeted creature, and then the Flurry of Strikes, which is not Flurry of Blows, lashes out, making 4 separate attacks unblockable, may be used on the same creature.
I like the narratively the deaths from above, because just explaining that, like, yeah, they just come from a grappling hook.
There just is one. It reminds me of like just like any Souls game where it's like you have a big bad guy, just try to stand above them and get that huge like jump down. So it specifically says each archetype has skills and stats that show how good they are. Oh, I think it's after it kind of explains like what you're actually picking and stuff. Oh, there's a names list here, 3d6 names table. Once you have met all 6 archetypes and probably have a favorite, there's this Clever. He likes the little eyes. It's time to choose the 3 archetypes you plan to play. Each has 3 special talents. Choose one of those for each archetype, then record their last gasp ability. So you have 3 mindsets. So choose 1 talent for each one, or just have 1 mindset and pick 3 talents. Come on. Then record their last gasp abilities. You get both of those, but you only get one at the end. Like you have both as an option. And then you should also name your character, blah, blah, blah. Finally, select one of the available basic talents each of your archetypes will have. If you're feeling random, roll for it. So for your character, each mindset gets a special talent and a basic talent. You have to pick each, or use my hack and pick 3 talents and 3 basic talents. And these are things like Acrobat, Blacksmith, Climbing, Evade. So Acrobat is a +2 on skill checks related to feats of acrobatics. Most of these are just modifiers, or like, so Evade, once per combat, you can evade 1 wound, which doesn't make sense to me. They talk about wounds a bunch, but never actually call anything a wound. But they also talk about...
Did we define wounds earlier?
No. Never. That's in my notes.
It's been damage I think the entire time.
Yeah, the damage is the entire time, because each of your stats can be damaged. Like when you heal with nectar, you heal damage. So wound is suddenly switched to wound, and there's no explainer. I just assumed wound was damage.
Wound at one point in time, and then they forgot to change it later on. And they updated
something
the wording.
like that. See, what I would do is, again, have the 3 pips for each one, and each pip is a wound, and you can take 3 wounds before that stat is damaged, and you have the negative disadvantage. But again,
I think for your talents hack, my hack of your hack would be you have to pick 2 from whatever archetype you picked, and then 1 from any of them. Because I think that's like, because you can pick a talent from, like, each of the personalities gets a different archetype. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah.
So to keep that kind of variability in talents, I'd be like, yeah, if you're going to get 3 talents, you have to pick 2 from your class, and you pick 1 from any other one, you know?
I don't mind that, but I think that's kind of taken up with the basic talents, is kind of like the ones that are like for everybody, you know? Because you could go acrobat, you could go martial artist, you can do a bunch of different stuff to kind of like, but I mean, I think yours is fine too. I think being able to pick another one is really interesting. But I think picking... If your character is built as an archetype and you pick something that's like very antithetical to your archetype, I think that, you know, I mean, you could do whatever, but yeah.
I mean, I guess they are like, I'm just thinking of like, well, when you have the 3 separate, ego selves, I guess they are 3 different classes. It's not just like the same class, but gets a different talent. So I guess, that's where I was approaching it from. It's like, oh, you want to keep that option open.
That makes sense. As a variability, having 1 is just like do a throwaway one. I think that would be cool. It would be interesting for sure. Or even when you're hacking it, you could just have like special, like a pool of special talents that everyone could take too if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Levels and experience. There are no traditional levels. Usually simply returning home works. To that end, the game is designed for one-shot play. However, if you do survive each archetype that returns to the city alive can add an additional talent to the roster, either a basic talent or a special talent. So there is no leveling. It's designed for one-shot play, but if you do survive and want to do campaign play, just add a basic or talent for each of the archetypes that comes back. So if one of them dies out there, or just pick, because we're not doing that as a group here. Name your character. You have your skills. You have everything. Roll on the following charts to determine your funds. Your rations you start with. any extra gear, interesting stuff here, climbing ropes, exo glue, shield. Here's another thing. So once we hit extra gear, see how there's like numbers next to all of it? At no point does that explain, explain what the fuck those numbers are at all, ever. I mean, clearly we know what it is because we know, because we're smart ttrpg people. So what do you think it is?
Wait, are they page number or?
Nope, that's what I thought too. Well, how many letters, how many numbers is it?
Oh, it's 3.
Yeah.
It's the 3 dice.
So it's a D666 table.
Yeah.
Yeah. The entire back is like one giant D666 table.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So this is just referencing where you can find that in the back D666 table.
That's not how things work, you know?
Right. I honestly, literally, they do such a good job of like little boxes and explainers. Just have like a little box like right here, boop, that says, with an arrow pointing to one of these, it says D66 table starting on page blah, you know? But I do like that they're all listed here. I like that you can reference them in the back of the table. I like that. It's interesting. We get to that. Add a specialty item. So extra gear, you roll 3d6 twice to add 2 of those. Add 1 specialty item to your inventory, like a meat hook or an obsidian knuckles or something like that. Yeah, this is another one of those. Yeah. Weapons, then roll 3d6 for 1 basic primary weapon. There's also... so it says weapons with 2 dashes are 2-handed weapons. Weapons with a little arrow symbol are range weapons. And use the range weapon rules. Poison weapons do an additional point of damage the following combat round. Okay, so here's my problem with this. You see how it says that this is a 2-handed weapon, right? And then this is a range weapon, right?
Right.
There's a list here. But if we actually get to the D66 table in the back, right? When you actually see weapons that are like range and stuff like that, this is fungi and plants. Are you still on the bow page? What number is that? Short bow?
Oh, I'm not. I'm on page 110, which is where unique weapons and armor is in the
153. Okay. Where's number 153? So here's my problem with that. All right. When we look at 153, okay, see what it says under 153?
Under 153, it says, right, short bow, common weapon, distance.
Distance, gotcha. Right. There's a reference here, right here. It says common weapons and armor. It says 2 dashes is a 2-handed weapon. And then the arrow is a distance weapon.
Right.
Okay. This is supposed to be something that denotes distance weapon so that you don't really have to write distance weapon, right?
Oh. Yeah.
Right.
It should be there.
So then how come on every one that's got an arrow, it says distance? What's the point of having the symbol if you then list what the symbol is supposed to denote anyway?
Listen, if you weren't sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, am I like, that's not too, like, that's, I mean, melee, it says melee, and then there's the 2 that means it's 2-handed. That totally makes sense. But the fact that the distance just means it's range, and then you have a symbol that also means range for all of them, makes no sense to have both.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just saying it's like, you know, if you're just not sure, you know.
Cool. All right. As long as we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay. We're about done. I think, yeah. So this is all starting weapons. This is all the optional accessories, armor, bling, distinctive features if you want, like missing eye, broken antenna, things like that. Those are all optional things that you can have. And then creature features. So this literally just goes straight into the bestiary. Were there any beasts that you really liked a lot? Did you go through this part?
Yeah, hold on. Let me think of the which one's the squiddy octopusy one?
Oh, I don't know. Well, you look up the octopusy, and I'll say I do really like the cultists.
I didn't mean for it to come out like that. I just meant like as the tunnel thrasher. I really just liked the art on 76.
Yeah, I kind of want to scroll through the whole thing. The Cultists of the Shimmer, these are like
the Cultists is a good one too.
Oh, dude, and the full page, the art is with the cloak and shit. So cool. But these are basically like Roans that like left the colony a while ago and started their own shit. They worship a false queen. I really like them a lot. They're cool. The Death Jacket is a really, really gorgeous piece of art. Obviously, it's like a Yellow Jacket kind of situation, but the Death Jacket is cool. I love the armor on them.
I just thought the name was because his jacket was so fucking sick, you know?
Oh, you didn't? Is that a real thing that you're doing?
No, that's not a real thing.
Okay. All right.
He's wearing his armor.
Switched like, to another mindset.
It's a little coat.
It is a little jacket. I do like the small shimmer dragon. It's a dragon, but this is clearly just like a salamander situation. But for bug size things, that's a dragon. I really like that a lot.
Absolutely.
And the art's great. The exoskeleton's cool. It's like a roan skeleton that's just been taken over by fungi. It's very what's that called? Like the cordyceps kind of situation.
Yeah, The Last of Us. Yeah.
Fungoid.
I've still never played
creature.
that game.
Neither have I. I don't care. I know the story now, and it's whatever. The Great Boar, which is just a thing that like bores through making tunnels, which is cool. The hill folk we talked about, they're ants.
Love the hill folk.
The pincher bugs are like super fucking creepy. They're really aggressive and rude. They smell terrible, like rotting corpses. Yeah, those are dope. Hate seeing those in my house. Sloper larva. Those are gross.
Actually terrifying. Like if you came across those in real life, I'd be like, I'd go the other way, you know?
Yeah. It's got like tentacles coming out, but then it's also got like a weird like 4-pronged ant face. Yeah,
they're like
awful.
Fingery, like
So terrible. Spore folk, they're like roans, but they're super skinny with wings and have like spores coming out their head and stuff.
Really cool hats, you know?
Yeah, the hats are crazy. The termites are fucking cool. They're renowned throughout the Shimmer for their incredible resilience and vicious bite with these huge mandibles. The tramplers are like centipede situations. Gross. The tunnel thrasher. Yeah, the octopussy. Secretive and patient. These cunning cephalopods. Yeah, they're cephalopods. They are kind of octopussies, aren't they? The widow webkin are what they call spiders, and I fucking love that for the term webkin. Like they're just kins of the web. They're so good.
My kinfolk.
Yeah. The wolf webkin, like a wolf spider. That's so cool. The Pill brothers, I do like that. There's like a really cool like an NPC aspect of these guys, but like you can find them. But there are these two like merchant brothers that are dope. And then Tunnel Master. This is just explanation for. So fungi fact, the Roan were originally designed as human bug mutations and named Roan as roach and human combined. That's what it was. Stuff for the TM, tips, tricks, things like that. There's some adventures in here that are cool. They're good. What are the names of the two adventures? Oh, this one's just called The World of 3-6, The Tunnel Master, Vendors and Trading. Oh, no, it's just the city. And then there's Adventure Spores, which are spores, not seeds. And I really like that a lot. That there's like a map and then there's like 18 adventure seeds. There's an adventure called Fires Below, which is interesting. It really breaks it down by like type, by area. I do really like the way that they wrote these adventures because they're more of like... It's not like 5e, like you have to do this and then do this and do this. Like, right. And if they do this, and the characters will probably do this, and if they do, then they have a DC 15 to do this. Now, it's an area, it's points of interest, it's things that they might see, and that's it. Like they basically, it's the Nate Treem style, just like say what's there, and describe the things that are in there, and let the characters decide how they react. You know.
It is funny running adventures that are like, oh, your characters will probably do this, and then you should do this, because they never do that. They never do what's written there.
No, but also one of the things I hate about that is it whether consciously or subconsciously, GMs will kind of like try to push the players there because that's what the adventure tells them they need to do. Yeah, and I just don't like that. So we get to the egg hunt, which is actually one of the solo missions, and they specifically say that this is based on the Delve Your Own Dungeon book, but this has been made multiplayer, and I really like that there's options to both play it as the solo adventure and as a regular adventure. I really like that a lot. The Lost City is the other one. I think that's in here too, as an adventure, I think. And then the Insectopedia, which is just the D66 table but what's interesting is they break it down into the entire table into weapons are all the ones, like the common weapons, unique weapons, and armor are in the 2s. Parts and pieces, so like antenna, bore mites, flashy claws, things like that, are the 3s. Items and equipment, alarm horn, candle, card box, are in the 4s. And the thing too, like we said before, like everything that had a number previously has an entry here with more stuff. It's the stats of whatever it was. It's a little blurb, a line or two of whatever it was. So even if you go to short bow, it gives you more info. It gives you the actual little like quote unquote stat block for the item. 5s are also the items, and then 6s are your fungies and plants. I really like that they did the whole D66 table, breaking up each number into a different kind of section.
Yeah, it does make it a little bit easier to navigate. And, I mean, also there's like 216 things on that table, so
there's a merchant inventory as well, which I like. There's a bonus Roan archetype, which I really like, just tucked back here in the back. The veteran. You only start with 2 archetypes because one of yours died previously. And then there's some other then there's some other skill improvements and tweaks and changes to it, which I really enjoy. And there's also the generator in the back uses playing cards for creatures and features to actually create like an oracle or a dungeon generator so that you can just run solo stuff on your own without having to have an adventure at all, which is really interesting. So it has like creatures are heart cards, features are spade cards, and then it's got type of area, number of exits, and good and bad are black or red cards, or spade and heart cards and things like that. And then your diamonds are random things, and your clubs are choices and curiosities. I think that's super clever to have like a card deck, and that just builds it out for you. And then there's a bunch of sound, sight, smells, just a bunch more tables. And all of them are good. Loot and search table, traps and hazards, the quick search tables that we talked about before, 3D6 encounter tables, creature tables, discovery tables, and then the character sheet, which makes no fucking sense. So, first of all, if you have 3 characters, listed on here is the 3 circles, so you can fill in your stats. Just have 3 sets of circles. Because none of the rest of it matters, because it's not like you need 3 item sections because the body is still the same. Right. But the other thing that drives me nuts is that the circles on the character sheet are not in the same order as the characters in the book. So like when you look at a character, for example, I'll hold it up to the screen. So when you get to the character creation section, right, it's listed as, accuracy, intellect, charisma, durability, power, and speed. But the character sheet has it listed as power, intellect, speed, charisma, accuracy, durability. It's not even that it's backwards. It's a completely different order.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. And again, if you're gonna have the character need 3 things, the body is all the same, so you don't need anything else because the body is all the same. But have all of your. But I guess you need the attack and defense is different for each archetype too.
Oh yeah, it is.
You need 3 sheets for everything. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the end. That's the game. Well, yeah. All right, so let's hop straight into the review.
Oh, do we review games on here?
Yeah, we do actually. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. We should do that.
Let's do it. So, I know we haven't done this in a while, so quick explainer. We have 5 different metrics, each one to a value of 10 to a possible 50 points. There's art and layout, which is the art and layout of the book. The usability, which is if things are in the order that makes it easier to understand, if things are bookmarked, if things have hyperlinks, how easy is the book to use and the PDF to use. The rule set is if it's a new rule set, do we like it? If it's adapted rule set, how well is it adapted? Originality is exactly what it is. Originality across lore, mechanics, art, everything. Value is the bang for your buck. It is not only the cost of the game, but how much you get for what you spend and how much more is out there for you to be able to play with. So, art and layout, what are your thoughts?
I think that the art is really, really, really like very good. It's great. I really enjoy it. I like the style. I like how much there is. I like that the page enders with the numbers are the little mushrooms. There's some good spot art. There's very rarely a page with anything without anything on it. I mean, with the numbers thing at the bottom, there's no pages with nothing on it. As for layout
and the bar.
And the bar at the top, yeah. As for layout, and I like that. I think it's a big bonus. Like, I like opening a book and knowing what section I'm in. But the layout, I think, is good. I like a lot of the graphics. I like the use of the blue and pink icons. I wish that those icons were on the character sheet. But I'd like that it is single column and it's not like over engineered in the layout department. I do think it does get kind of wall of texty sometimes. And I think there's some inconsistencies with like when things are bolded and are not bolded is the one that's coming to mind. But yeah, I think it does fairly well. I would give this like a really solid. I mean, I think the art bumps up a little bit. So I'm like a high 7, low 8-ish for this.
Yeah. I think I'm about the same spot. I think the layout issues. So the overall layout, I think is great. I really enjoy it. I think every page none of them feel crowded. I think that the typeface is really readable. I think that the pages are really legible. I like the size even of the fonts, the color choices. There was never a time where I was lost in any of that. I like the bar across the top where telling you what section you're in. Like you said, I love the stuff in the corners. There are, as we said, some inconsistencies with bolding. There's inconsistency with like the weird decision on some of the typefaces. There's parts where it says page, parts where it says P, like some things italicized, some things not italicized. So there's a little bit of, it's less inconsistency. Like, I think it's just like things that like just got missed kind of. Yeah. More than anything. I don't think it's like a intentional differences. I think it's just some missed inconsistencies. But overall, I think the layout's really good, and I think the art's fantastic. I really, really love the style. I like the color. I like the halftone. I like everything. So I think 8. I think it's an easy 8 for me because I think the layout is good and the art's great. So yeah, I think 8 works really well for me. Let's open this up.
Usability.
Okay, so yeah, you start.
Okay, so there are things in here that are great. I know I reference this for layout and art, but I'm also going to reference this for usability. The blue and pink icons and how they're referred to, I think it works. Maybe I'm not on your first pass of the reading this, but I think subsequent passes, it makes sense, right? The kind of blue boxes of important stuff that they're not super often, but they're there. And when you see them, you're like, oh, that's a thing I should read. Really well executed. We see a lot of different books do something like that. I mean, and sometimes it's really successful. And a lot of times we're like, well, that doesn't really stand out at all, or it looks bad. And this one, it worked. It looks great. I think the order could be moved around to make it more immediately usable to like a player. And also it has no inline hyperlinks. It does not have any bookmarks, and the physical book doesn't have any ribbons, right?
No. It's Drive-Through RPG POD.
Oh yeah, it's a POD. In which, I mean, I say, oh, it's a POD, but Drive-Through RPG's PODs have gotten a ton better in the past 2 or 3 years.
They're fine. Lulu still does better. Yeah. If Drive-Through could do a matte cover, I think it would be totally fine.
I super agree. My biggest issue with Drive-Through RPG's PODs is how glossy they are.
Yeah. The gloss is terrible. It's gotten a little bit better on the paperbacks. I mean, I say that and then it's like a fucking mirror, but it's fine.
I think it's still glossy. It's just not the same material they were using like 2 years ago.
Yeah. I will say.
Say it. Oh,
in this book, in this book, the character sheet sucks.
Okay.
In this book, the character sheet's great. It does exactly what I said. It's 3. Oh. It's 3 per. Come on, look, right here. Look at.
Yeah, it's not focusing. The way that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's 3 sheets in 1 page, and it's got the things in the correct order. I will say that is better there.
Well, too bad it's not in the too bad it's not in the book.
Too bad it's not in the book that we actually used. Yeah, this is in the Delver book.
Yeah, that's the Delver book, and cool book, and you should get it. But like, if I or another person was going to pick up just the game, it's very rare that I pick up a game and adventure at the same time. Sometimes I do, but I am a person who does this. But like for a regular person, if you're just going to pick up the book, like I will say that also that character sheet is a knock on usability. Like you have to track 3 different stats or 3 different like personalities on one character sheet. Like that's a usability issue, you know?
Okay. I will also say though, there are 3 different kinds of character sheets downloadable for free from the website.
Okay. Cool.
The one from this book, which is terrible. Then there's another one that has like a really, I'm just going to fucking download it and I'll actually show it to, I don't want to print. Let's call it whatever. Where did it download to? Okay, let's look at this real quick. So one that actually looks like a cool mushroom stalactite situation, where it's got like the type at the top, the name at the bottom, all your stats, everything, your last gasp, talent, abilities, equipment, armor. I really like this one a lot. I think it's super vibey. And then you got this one where again on the same page, they're not in the correct order. Whatever. And then this is the one. The third one is the one that's in the in this book where it's pretty much just squares and circles, but it's got 3 things listed. It's got time, rations, and amber, stuff like that, like all the way through. So it's a nice mix because it goes across all 3 with just equipment at the bottom. This I think is the character sheet that's going to give you the most usability. But I love the first one that actually has more of like the vibes with the art and stuff like that.
If I was running this, I'm printing out the vibey one for my table. You know, like I like that one a lot.
But if I'm going solo, I totally understand why this is one that they put in the book. It's definitely the most usable one. Anyway, so for usability, what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking light 7.
Yeah, I was between 6 and 7 on it because
I'm between 6 and 7 as well. So you pick.
Okay, well let's go through it. I think that as far as like the book itself, I think I just think that the character creation stuff could be earlier with some of the stuff like the nectar and movement shit could be after, but it doesn't bother me because they really lumped all of character creation into one. It's fine. No inline hyperlinks, and it is 130, 140 pages. No bookmarks in the PDF. Really drops it down for me. Again, the character sheet listed in the book is not good, but these are better. Yeah. I mean, so from baseline, I'm at like a 6.
Let's do a 6. I'm the more we're talking about, the more I'm actually moving towards 6.
Yeah. Rule set. Okay. So I love almost all of it. I think it's really clever.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. Yeah. I like this game, and this is not a negative statement for me. I am not like amazingly stoked to run this game. But like I think it's really cool. I think to me this very much seems like a game that was made originally for solo play. And then it was just easy to expand to like a multiplayer experience. Yeah, I think the rules are cool. I have no major gripes. I think the way they use the 3d6 is cool. I got it. Yeah, I like it. I like this game. If someone was running this, I'd play it for sure. I'd be like, yeah, definitely, I want to play this.
I mean, I would play it as a solo game too, especially since I have the adventure.
I think actually, personally, I would much rather play this as a solo game. You know, I think in my head, at least, it makes a lot more sense as a solo game. It flows really well as a solo game. But yeah, I like the three. I like the 3d6. I like that the dice mean different things. I love the effect die.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, most of it I really enjoy. You know, I love me a good 3d6, and I'm definitely going to steal that effect die for, you know, maybe something else I'm working on when I lean towards a solo play with it. I think it's really clever. Anyone that uses the 2d6 could just have that third d6 in and just turn your bad guys into kind of like an AI.
I do like that. It's like, yeah, that like that reaction die. I'm gonna call it that now because it's a better name. It's just gonna tell you what that enemy does next turn. You're like, oh, awesome, and you just narrow it down to just do one thing every turn.
Well, not only that, I really, really, really like that the bad guy has as many different types of actions as they have HP.
Yeah.
And those actions get more, like if you really go through the bestiary, I don't know how much you dug into it, but a lot of those actions, it makes sense which actions are left, because a lot of the lower ones are flee or rage. They really get into where you would be if you're 2, 3, 4 HP down, like getting close to dying and stuff like that. It makes a lot of sense.
That.
Yeah. So I think it's really clever that the like I said, that the HP and the number of actions and stuff are tied together. And I do think that it, as I was reading before it ever said anything about solo play, I was like, man, this would be super easy to do solo. But I don't think that the ease in which it becomes solo takes anything away from the multiplayer aspect of it. I think it's easily still super playable multiplayer. And I just think the solo is really well done. The only thing, honestly, the only thing that is my huge, biggest knock on this system is I don't want 3 characters. I don't fucking want 3 characters. I just genuinely don't. To me, again, I don't.
Yeah, no kidding.
My thought from a designer perspective is, was there a problem this is trying to fix? And to me, I think that answer is yes. They're weak little bugs with only 6 HP, and I want them to last longer. I don't understand how they went, okay, give them 3 distinct characters. You know what I mean? Like, you know, again, I already explained my hack. That's how I would play the game. That's how I'd play it solo too. I think the only thing that you lose at all is a little bit of what you touched on, is a little bit of variability. But name me another game where you're just get to be 3, like you generally just get 1 archetype, because that's what a single person is. They're generally not multiple archetypes. So that's my only knock on the game at all. I think almost every other aspect of the rule set I really, really enjoy a lot. I think it's really clever. I think it makes sense. I love the pink and blue boxes. Once I understood them, I think it's so good that you can literally roll 2 dice and determine if you hit and how much, and if they hit and how much, all in one go. And I really like it, and what they do next. Super clever. Where are you at with this?
I think I'm in a 7 for this. I like a lot of stuff about it, but man, I really don't like having 3 characters.
Yeah, I'm kind of at an 8. Like, I really like it a lot. Here's the thing: is I really like it a lot. I genuinely, I keep saying hate. I very strongly dislike. I hate the 3 character aspect of it. But I also think that, like, you know how long it took me to hack that? Like, to do the way I wanted it, like 2 seconds, and it doesn't change any part of the game. Like, so I'm just debating in my mind, like, how much that knocks it down versus how clever and simple I think that the rest of the game is and works out.
The rest of the game is clever and simple, so I will give you that.
The zone combat aspects I really, really enjoy. The bad guy stat blocks are so clever too. Like, to me, like, even with the 3 archetype thing, I would just get rid of it, ignore it. And to me, I feel like it's an 8. If you feel strongly that it's a 7, we can split the difference. But I really like this.
I don't know if I'm at an 8 for this. I really don't. You know what? Do an 8. Go for the 8.
All right.
It is very simple and clever in almost every other way. So
yeah. I mean, to me, what really pushed it over is honestly the HP for actions for the bad guys. I'm like, I just love that so much.
That's a pretty good rule. Yeah, that's great. You're right. Okay. You're right.
Originality. I mean, there's a lot of games where people are things, but how many are you get to be little roach bug people with like the split personalities and shit?
Yeah, I think for me the originality in like the dice mechanic, how it uses 3d6s and like. And once again, I've referenced this now for 3 different aspects of this, but just because it's so good, the like color coded like stat modifiers. It is just like, I'm like, oh, why have we not been doing this? Like, you could do this in so many different games and it would make them visually so much easier to parse out. Yep. It's one of those things we all often talk about, like low hanging fruit, and how like some people just grab it and you're like, that's so obvious and you're a genius for doing it. But we all should have been doing this the entire time. And this is great.
Yeah, well, it's kind of how I feel about like Trophy, where you have like your light eye and your dark eye and stuff like that. I think it runs into a similar part of the brain. Okay, so originality, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking a strong 8 for this one. You know?
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think
I had it as a 7.
And...
We basically flipped 8, 7, 7, 8.
Cool.
All right, let's go. Yours this time. Oh, you want to go 7 on this one?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. It's just because, like, I mean, I do really like the mechanics and stuff like that. Yeah, so I already looked it up. I got you. So, all right. The deluxe edition that I got is an $18 PDF, which is fine. It's 120 pages. Pay for your PDFs. And I'm sure Drive-Thru takes some money off of that. Soft cover, $22. Hardcover, standard color, which is what I got, is right now on sale $30, normally $48. But I'm curious how often if it's really 48, if it's one of those things where I put 48, but I always leave it at 30, you know, like one of those things. If you just want the non-special edition zine version, it's only a $10 PDF, and it's $14 for soft cover. And then if you want the Bug's Guide to Shimmer, it's a $10 PDF and a $20 hardcover, or a $15 soft cover. And if you want the dual two-way Delver Dungeon ones, it's $15 PDF with a $20 soft cover, or $20 for the PDF and soft cover. So I think they're reasonably priced. I mean, I think $30 for a POD of the special edition is great. For 48, I would say fuck no. Honestly, I think that's crazy. But for $30 to get the PDF and the hardcover standard, I think it's a great price. I think the if we're talking about value, you can get the zine edition for even cheaper, $10 or $15. And then the Troika version already exists, which is great. Multiple adventures. There's 3 adventures in the book plus the 2 solo adventures. I mean, for me, for value, I think this is well priced to get it physical. The PDFs are a decent price, and there's a lot of stuff. And it sounds like there's a second edition coming out too. So I think this is a pretty decent value. What are your thoughts?
I agree. What are you thinking?
Probably like a 7-ish.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the 7 range too.
Gotcha. All right, so that gives us a total of 8 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7 plus 7 equals. That's a 36.
36.
That's a solid score. That's a solid score. I think, honestly, if they had a little bit of a rearrangement of the book and some and some bookmarks, would have jumped that usability up from like a 6 to a 7 or an 8. Would have bumped a couple more points up. And honestly, value-wise, when second edition comes out, the value of that's probably going to bump from a 7 to an 8 easy. So this could easily get into the high 30s, which is... I'd
be interested to go through that and update the score a little bit, because I'm sure there's a bunch of quality of life stuff that we maybe have pointed out here that'll be...
Well, I'm really curious if it's second edition as in let's fix issues, or second edition as in like a whole new version. I'm really excited for that, so we'll see. But that has been 3 Die 6, a game I really, really like if it just got rid of its split personality problem. And that is from Christian McClanahan. Did I say that right? McClanahan at Deeply Dapper Games, Tabletops, and Tentacles. Definitely go check that out. This is what I wanted to do for a while. Glad we did. I do really, really like it. Definitely check out a lot of other stuff from Deeply Dapper Games. They recently put out Toonpunk with the help of Alan Barr, and a lot of other really interesting things as well. So that's it. Are we doing an episode tomorrow?
We are doing an episode tomorrow. We're going to do The Last Sabbath tomorrow, I believe it's called. It is a narrative, journaling, witchy role-playing game that I'm interested to look into.
Yeah, very excited. It's a very, very narrative, like story game, like very story game.
I'm supposed to run it actually in the next couple weeks, so I'm glad we're going to go over it.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
I am, yeah. Cool. So
yeah, so that is our plan for tomorrow. We'll see if that happens based on how tired we both are. We at least got one in this week, so we'll see.
We got one in. We did it.
Check out all the Kickstarters we talked about at the beginning. And again, starting next week, Hunter, please remind me, on Monday, we will drop a tweet so that we can start doing giveaways for Gabriel Quiroga, for Black Rainbow Society, the expansion to Hell Knight. That's it. That's our episode. Hunter, I love you. I will see you probably tomorrow.
Probably.
Bye, everybody.
Farewell.